Welcome to Film Rush.
Welcome back to Film Rush, everybody, where we talk about streaming, movies, television shows. It's all over the place. We're on HBO, Netflix, Hulu, all that good stuff. Welcome back to another normal episode of the podcast where we're going to recommend to see things and recommend to avoid some things on movies and shows. Logan, how have you been, and are you excited about today?
I've been lonely because we didn't record last week, and I had to do this all by myself, and I missed you. It's awkward to just talk into a microphone alone. I need someone to talk to, you know?
Hey, I do it all the time, and the microphone's not always recording.
No, I've been good. It's been raining a lot here in Chattanooga. I feel like we've seen the sun once or twice in the month of February. But
I would prefer some rain. We've got ice and snow here.
I'm not jealous. I would almost rather have snow. Ice I'll pass on.
Well, snow becomes ice. If snow didn't become ice, I would love snow. Snow would be my favorite thing.
Right.
But because snow becomes a hazard to my health, I fucking hate it. Sorry if that's a controversial opinion.
I hate it when it's the time of the year where it's like, okay, like I need something from the store, but is it worth dying over from the ice on the roads?
I needed to go grocery shopping today, but it's like 5 degrees outside and icy, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to survive on some more leftovers.
We live far south enough and yet far north enough that we still sometimes get that weather, but the government is just not at all positioned to support the roads like they do up north, because we get...
Yeah, no, Missouri never handles it well.
Yeah,
ever.
Tennessee's the
same. You would
same.
think people hadn't lived here ever before, every time rain or ice even touches the roads.
For sure.
But yeah, no, that's been a bummer. But hey, today we're inside. We're warm from the weather. We are robe bros today.
We are wearing robes.
We're both wearing our comfort gear. It's very nice.
I know you can't see it, but John, how would you describe your robe to the audience?
It's very plush and soft. It's all brown. I have a pretty boring robe, but hey, it's a warm color, so it makes me feel toasty. How about you, Logan? How would you explain?
Yeah,
your
it's I don't know what this material is. It's that plush, soft, silky, not silky, but
the prime robe material. Every other robe that's not made out of this crap can just go to the landfill.
It feels like those really nice plush lap throw pillow kind of things. But it's blue and it's got tan on the inside, or tan on the outlines, I guess I should say.
You've got tan accents.
Yes, I do.
This has become the robe cast, if you haven't noticed.
It's the coat of many colors, if you will.
Oh boy, well I better throw you into a pit pretty soon here. But before we get to the pit throwing, we're going to get to the podcasting. So we've got some movies to recommend. Technically we both have two, but mine's kind of a twofer. So let's hit one of yours first before we go to mine. Then we'll jump back to yours. So which one do you want to start with today?
Cool. All right. So I've got two sci-fi action throwbacks this week because John assigned me 2001: A Space Odyssey. And that was a mammoth of a movie to get through. We'll get to that towards the end of our episode tonight. But after watching that, I was kind of like, I feel like I need the opposite side of the spectrum. So I went for big dumb fun. I watched Total Recall over on Netflix, and I watched Independence Day over on HBO Max. And I'm assuming, John, you grew up with these movies like I did?
Yeah. I've probably seen one of them fewer than the other, but I've definitely seen these multiple times growing up.
Nice. I just wanted to dive back in because these were movies that I watched a lot growing up, but haven't really seen that much of as an adult. Mm-hmm. Independence Day is like every 2 or 3 year watch for me, whereas Total Recall I had not seen since I was a kid.
Same. That's actually literally the same. Like I was kind of like bouncing around it in terms of which one I had seen less of, but I've seen Total Recall maybe 2 times. I never watched the remake because gagged me, but
I did not either.
The original I've seen maybe twice, maybe 1.5 times. Independence Day is a healthy 5 times, a handful of times for sure.
Independence Day for me was one of about 50 or 60 movies that my parents had on DVD, in that I was allowed to watch basically like unsupervised as much as I wanted to, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so I watched it a lot, especially being homeschooled. It was on quite a bit growing up. I really probably don't want to know how many times I've seen Independence Day throughout my life. But so I want to go into Total Recall for a second here. This movie, I remember being a kid, and this movie freaked me the hell out. It wasn't as scary as something like Alien or Predator was when I was a kid, but there was something about just like the weird imagery of this movie. Like, do you remember the little, I don't remember the name of the character, but the little Quato, the little mutant baby face that's on the guy's belly?
I really don't. What? I don't.
Okay.
That's weird. What is it? I don't remember at all what that is.
All right. So, Total Recall, it's this futuristic sci-fi movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger is playing this everyday guy, and he wants to experience something fun. And so he goes to this vacation memory rental place where you basically like pay them to inception a vacation into your mind. And when he goes to get this vacation, something goes wrong with the machine. And from there on out, he thinks that he is basically like an undercover agent on Mars. Because again, we're in the future here. Like, there's active colonies that are on Mars and stuff. I'm sure most people who are listening have probably seen Total Recall 1,000 times.
I mean, yeah, isn't it still basically a theory or an argument on whether or not he was a spy or if that was being total recalled?
I think the movie answers it by the end, but the whole time they want you to like second guess and have some doubt as to what is actually going on.
I just knew the internet still argued about it.
Oh,
to
sure.
This day.
I'm sure. I'm pretty firm in one camp. I don't think it was a dream. I think the whole dream thing was part of the cover of brainwashing him. That's my interpretation of what was going on with the movie.
Sure. But
it's a very twisty, turny kind of political thrillers. You're brainwashing a spy, basically, kind of a spy on Mars. It's a lot of fun. It's really big. It's really dumb. But one of the weird things about this movie is that there are people who live on Mars and have genetic mutations. I don't remember why. I think they explain it, but there's a lot of like the Greatest Showman circus freak type looking people, people with really odd deformities and stuff like that. And there's one dude who's like the leader of a group of rebels named Quato, and he is a mutant. I want to say like a baby face. It's really, really strange, but he exists on this other guy's stomach.
Oh, yeah.
It's
now that you say it like that, for some reason, I remember that now. It's like half in his chest and kind of in his stomach and poking out with its face, head on his like chest. It's creepy as fuck.
Exactly. It kind of looks like a human baby version of when the xenomorph bursts out of the chest in Alien.
Yeah.
It gets parodied in what was the movie? Ralph Breaks the Internet, because they go see the green blob looking guy towards the end, and he's got like a weird side head named Kevin or something like that.
Interesting. I didn't know that was a direct parody of that.
I always interpreted it as that, but it may not have been.
It's as valid as anything else.
Total Recall, dude, it was really wild. It was a lot of fun. It was really just one of those old Arnold movies that to me was a lot of fun. Not, the smartest science fiction you'll ever watch or action that you'll ever watch. But it held up well for me. I thought it was a fun movie. A lot of weird stuff. Again, a lot of weird stuff, but I dug Total Recall. Do you have anything else that you want to say on Total Recall or Independence Day before I throw it over to you?
I will say, every time I play anything involving aliens, when it comes to a video game or anything like that, I always say "Welcome to Earth." But
welcome to Earth.
Welcome to Earth. But then I say it in a dumb way because I'm dumb. I just say "Welcome to Earth." But I always quote that. So that definitely has had an impact on me. Of course, Independence Day has one of the best jack you up American presidential speeches ever. You can't really...
The Independence Day speech.
Yeah.
So good.
Can't really get away from that. That actor did a fantastic job as the president. I like Total Recall. It's definitely one of Arnold's classics, and it's held up for the longest in terms of being publicly conscious. It's not one of my favorite sci-fi movies out there. As I said, I've probably seen it maybe twice. And I didn't really watch RoboCop growing up, but I watched the 2014, arguably not good remake of RoboCop, but I didn't bother with the remake of Total Recall. So if that gives you any idea of like how much I'm not really attached there, maybe I'd still say watch it if you've never experienced it, but I just am not part of it.
No, there's a lot of early 2010 remakes that I thought were terrible. And I think you named a couple of them there, but yeah, the Total Recall, I just never was interested in that. Like Colin Farrell is the lead for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
like,
it didn't quite fit.
I'm a big Colin Farrell fan, but still, that didn't land right with me. But yeah, Will Smith in Independence Day might be my favorite Will Smith performance. Not saying that it's his best. He's had a lot of great performances, but there's something about him in this movie that's just so charming and likable. I love Jeff Goldblum. I think he is awesome in this movie.
This is one of his better performances. If we're going by objective acting,
it's my favorite.
If we go by like
how
enjoyable the role is, that's a different debate. I think this is one of his better performances as an actor.
I love the way the aliens are designed. The visual effects in this movie are fucking amazing. Some of my favorite movie explosions of all time are in Independence Day.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
Boom.
The White House.
Big boom.
Yes.
Yeah. You get the iconic White House shot.
That was fun to watch on my new TV with the surround sound. I mean, I gotta say that was I juiced it up a little bit for that scene, and Jacqueline was like, "It's so loud."
Since I'm in an apartment and I can't make things go big boom,
right?
If I ever go, I mean, obviously at some point, hopefully we'll come visit you. But if we come visit you in the near future and I think of it, I want to experience Pacific Rim on your television with the surround sound.
I've actually been meaning to watch that recently
because that movie is meant to be experienced when there's noise just all around you. That's really what it is. So that'd be fun.
Yes.
But yeah, Independence Day, great explosion movie, Total Recall, classic sci-fi. So no lies detected on whether or not you need to see them.
No, and both movies are quotable as hell. But yeah, so that's it for my movies this week. Let me throw it over to you. You've got 2 movies in your recommend pile that I'm a really big fan of, and I can't wait to hear you talk about.
This is going to be hilarious because your movies are so like, not to, what do you call it, genre type or stereotype, but like your movies are very manly. Very Independence Day, Will Smith fighting aliens, Total Recall.
They're very male-centric or male-skewed.
The Austrian hero, yeah. And I'm over here with equally good movies. Don't make any mistake here, I am recommending them. Princess Diaries 1 and 2 with Anne Hathaway.
Oh, I love these movies, dude.
So I just recently watched Princess Diaries 1. And I didn't realize how much of Princess Diaries 2 I was getting confused. I thought I had a really good familiarity with both movies, and I've seen both as a kid and as a young adult. But apparently I remembered Princess Diaries 2 way more than 1. There are like whole subplots in 1 that I completely forgotten about. But since I remember 2 as well as I do, I now know, that's all in the second one. This is the first one. And I enjoy both. I honestly think that I probably enjoy Princess Diaries 2 more, but that just may be, bias, because I remember it from my younger days.
Oh, no, you're correct. The second one is better.
You think the second one's better? I haven't yet, directly compared the two yet.
I love both movies. These were some of my favorite movies when I was a kid. It's funny that we're talking about movies that I loved as a kid. But I love these movies to pieces. I remember seeing these in theaters with my parents and my brother, and watching them at home, on a monthly basis. I like these movies way more than I kind of want to admit that I do. And yeah, the second one is hands down better in my opinion. It's got Chris Pine and the guy who plays Gimli.
Yeah, it's got
and I always liked Chris Pine as a kid.
Got John Rhys Davies.
John Rhys Davies.
Gimli.
Good pull.
I was going to hate myself if I didn't think of that name, given how much of a Lord of the Rings nerd I am. That nearly gave me a panic attack right on fucking air. But yeah, no, I agree. I think the second one's a classic. I did find things to enjoy about the first one. There are a lot of things that are of the time in how it is filmed. It came out in 2001. So it's basically a 90s movie. And
yeah, it's a late 90s teen comedy.
And everything that comes with it, baby. You've got the same editing style, you've got the weird jokes, awkward interpretation of what it means to be a kid. There are definite flaws here, stereotypes. But at the same time, there's a lot of charm here. This is one of the classier films that got pooped out of the 90s in terms of cinema. But I personally made a strange discovery while watching this. There's a character named Michael Moskowitz, who is her romantic interest in the movie, slash best friend's brother.
Oh, I remember him from the first one, right?
He's not in the second one, so it's such an inconsequential fucking romance, which is so annoying, but it's very common from back then. I kept looking at his face through this whole thing and being like, what the fuck? Like, it was so deep in the back of my brain, I was like, where the fuck do I know him from? And it is the most random of random. I watched a show growing up called The O.C., it is a show based in California that is about teenagers. It's a teen soap opera. Watched it, love it, still watch it today. I'll defend it till I die. There is a band that I discovered through that show because they play their music in the soundtrack and you see them perform at like a random nightclub at one point in the show called Rooney. The lead singer of Rooney is Michael in this movie.
Interesting.
He's apparently a director, actor, and musician. He hasn't directed a whole ton, but like he still works. He's still out there and such. And I like Rooney as a band, but oh my God, my brain was just like, what the fuck was that? I don't know how I recognized him. He still has his like 70s sideburns in the movie. If he'd cut those off, I probably wouldn't have recognized him, if I'm being honest, but yeah, that was weird.
Is his name Robert Schwartzman?
Yes, that's Robert Schwartzman.
Have you looked into who he's related to?
As in, like, literally related?
Yeah.
No.
All right. So let me read this off IMDb. He was born into one of the film industry's most famous families, including Uncle Francis Ford Coppola, cousin Nicolas Cage, cousin Sophia Coppola, former cousin-in-law Spike Jonze, and then his brother is Jason Schwartzman.
Wow,
Holy
this guy.
Fuck, I didn't know all those people were related.
Yeah, I didn't realize Jason Schwartzman's brother, was the lead singer of Rooney and vice versa.
That's crazy. I had no clue either.
Uncle Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah, no wonder this guy has, like, got a career in the industry. No fucking wonder.
That is quite a family to get born into.
His middle name is Coppola.
It is his birth name.
He was partially named after Ford Coppola.
That's crazy.
Man, he's only 5'8".
Oh, another funny thing. I forgot Mandy Moore. She's like the mean girl in this movie. And she's Rapunzel in Tangled, and she's in A Walk to Remember as well. I really, really like Mandy Moore. I always forget that she's in the first one.
Yeah, she's also in Entourage as one of a very strange subplot in that show. Admittedly, there's a lot of those in that show. But
no, I didn't know that.
I recognized her face. Because of Entourage, I'm not gonna lie, and my favorite performance of hers is Rapunzel for sure. But yeah, Princess Diaries. It's about a girl who learns that she's a princess, which she never knew she was at 15, and now she has to suddenly learn to be a princess. And the second movie is about it's kind of like Santa Claus, where the next one is about getting a romantic interest.
That's a great point. That's a great comparison.
But the second one's a lot of fun. It's got Chris Pine, John Rhys Davies, as we said. I think they're a lot of fun. If you have, for sure, if you have a little girl, like 12 to 14, whatever, around there, I guess, definitely watch these. They're on Disney+. And I think they'll be a guess. Me as a little boy, I also enjoyed them though, so like don't count us out of the bag just yet. I also liked movies like 2 Weeks Notice and stuff with Hugh Grant, so boys can be suckers for rom-coms too. Not to say this is a rom-com, this is more of a coming-of-age comedy family story, but I think it's worth your time. So I'm recommending Princess Diaries 1 and 2. And I see that we do not have any avoids. We have no movies that we really hated this week, or the last 2 weeks, I suppose.
Nothing worth talking about. I've been watching a lot of stuff, but saving it for the future.
Nice, building up. Let it anticipate until it explodes. Moving on to shows, we're gonna get into our recommend. So I spent a while talking about Princess Diaries and the random trails that led us on. Let's go to your recommend, Logan. Let's calm things down, as it were.
Cool. All right. So, I discovered a new feature. I got a story with this one. I discovered a new feature over on HBO Max. I was scrolling late one night, scrolling, and eventually I scrolled so far that I came past a promotional banner that was saying, click on this and we'll match your sign with a content, a TV show, a movie, a documentary, whatever. So I'm like, whatever. It's 11:30 at night. I whatever. I'll click on it. So I clicked on it. I went down to Virgo, and I had to do a double take because what I saw listed for Virgo was the World of Calm, which is new content that Calm did with HBO Max. Calm is the big app that has a whole bunch of like sleep stories and calming music and anxiety, meditation, all kinds of stuff. And they came together and they made a whole bunch of visual sleep stories. I've talked a lot before about how I really like to fall asleep to like nature stuff. That's one of the reasons I watch a lot of it over on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what this show is for, except it's supposed to put you to sleep.
Nice.
And I was really, really impressed. I've watched a couple of episodes so far, and they definitely work. They've gotten me sleepy. But they've got some really fascinating episodes. It's not all just nature and narration and stuff like that. Let me just go read a couple of episodes off here. So my favorite episode so far has been the one with Keanu Reeves.
Nice.
And he is narrating as a local man creates a canoe out of a trunk of wood.
Do they just describe it, or are they narrating completely different stuff?
So Keanu is, so it's like, I would say half the footage is like nature stuff. And the other half of the footage, you're just kind of like watching this guy like carve this tree down until he turns it into a canoe. And Keanu, he's like passively narrating, and he'll make comments that, look at the way he uses steam from the fire to make the wood pliable so that he can bend it.
Interesting.
And it's kind of like an ASMR type narration, but it's so fun. It's almost so exciting to me that like I have a hard time falling asleep to it, which is kind of like not the purpose, but they've got some hilarious I say hilarious in an ironic way. It's not intended to be humorous, but very calming, very well done episodes. There's an episode called The Glassmaker, narrated by Zoe Kravitz, and you're just watching someone make glass out of sand. There's an episode called Snowfall, narrated by Cillian Murphy, and you watch a bunch of snowfall. you all kinds of different like snow crystals and stuff, and it's Scarecrow from Batman Begins narrating it. Idris Elba does one on space called The Great Beyond. Oscar Isaac does one on noodles. I have not seen that one.
That does sound interesting. Oscar Isaac narrating calming noodles.
The description is, at the artful hands of Seattle resident and Japanese chef, a name I can't pronounce, Mutsuko Soma. We watch the creation of a culinary gift, handcrafted soba noodles, narrated by
interesting.
Oscar.
The thing is, I googled the World of Calm because as you did not know that this existed, neither did I. I gotta say, the image results for the World of Calm are the worst things.
I gotta Google it myself.
Well, I just mean like in the sense that you're describing this very nice, interesting thing to watch that's calming. All of the image results show hardly any of that, and just a bunch of headshots of celebrities.
Oh, I see that.
A bunch of ad pictures for HBO Max. It's just positive garbage. Like, what the hell? Why am I not seeing like screenshots of this man making a boat or someone glass blowing?
It's funny.
Like, this is not interesting.
So you don't see any of the celebrities in the show, but they obviously narrate it.
Yeah.
Oh, Mahershala Ali's got one on, I think, water, if I remember right. Kate Winslet does one on horses. Yeah, all these big, giant celebrities. Whoever married... damn it, I'm so bad with names tonight. The actress who's in Baywatch, she married the Jonas Brothers. She does one on chocolate. Don't remember her name right now.
I don't remember her name either, so you're fine.
Priyanka Jones, Priyanka Chopra Jones. I'm so bad with names.
I'm sure someone knows.
Anyway, A World of Calm.
Priyanka Chopra Jones. Yeah, you're right. I just saw her randomly. So.
A World of Calm. I've seen about half the episodes. It's perfect. Perfect visual sleep story. It's great to fall asleep to. They're 25 minutes long, and I usually start to get pretty drowsy around the 17-minute, 18-minute mark. And it's just great content to put on at like 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night, drift off to sleep. to The World of Calm on HBO Max.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I definitely will have to check that out some night where I'm super chill and ready to just be much chiller.
I really want to know what you think about the Keanu one, because you and I are both big Keanu fans, and they give him some dialogue that's incredible coming from his mouth.
Interesting. I will definitely have to check that out now for sure. Cool. Yeah, he sounds fun. All right, so
what you got on your side?
Yeah, so on my side, I've got with an addendum of kinda the title Minecraft Story Mode. This may be like piquing some people's ears, and like I've heard that before. What is this doing on like a streaming movie thing show? Yes, it used to be a video game, and it is kind of a video game by Telltale Games. They made the Walking Dead story mode game. They've made several other story modes.
They did some Batman stuff too, right?
Yeah, I played the Batman one and I liked it. So they did a good job there. This is also good. It's simplistic. It's Minecraft, so it plays to a younger audience. The mystery and plot is at least, well written enough that I can't like predict everything. It's not so simplistic that this is meant just for children. But it really is trying to play to that 12, 13, 14-year-old Minecraft player, or someone who's maybe a little too young to play Minecraft yet, but like older brother plays Minecraft, but they can't understand it. So like you give them Minecraft story mode so they can feel part of the plan, part of the system. But overall, it's just the plot plays out in front of you and certain moments will occur and you get to make a choice. It's usually between two different decisions. Sometimes I think there's three. I've not gone super far into it. Like the first episode, as it's formatted on Netflix, is an hour and a half. The next few episodes are a half hour. Like the fourth episode's another hour and a half. Because it used to all be a video game, but Netflix has like chopped it up to be a series or a season per se. And it'd be an interactive TV show in the likes of what Black Mirror did. So it's really strange. It's like watching them adapt a video game to be a streamable show. And so that's cool. And I also think it's good for kids.
That's really fascinating to think about, because I've not actually done any of these interactive movies yet. I haven't seen the one from Black Mirror. I haven't played Minecraft, the story mode. My cousins had it on the TV and I've kind of like passively watched it, but that was quite a long time. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, this game came out a few years ago. Like I think 2 or 3 years ago this game came out, the first one anyway. I think there were two. But yeah, I didn't know that the Telltale one and what's on Netflix were one and the same until I started Googling like cast and stuff like that.
I didn't know that either.
I recognized some voices from certain things that I've seen, like pop culture wise. There's a voice of the character Terra from the original Teen Titans cartoons that was tricking me out, so I looked it up. And yeah, it's all Telltale stuff on Netflix now. Which I'm wondering if that means if this ends up being successful, will they bring other Telltale games to Netflix? Which would be super weird.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about.
But otherwise, I think this is good for kids. So I am recommending it, but like everyone who's our age, like 24 plus... It may not be for you. It depends, like, how just curious and, like, mildly interested in, like, Minecraft, quote-unquote, lore you're into.
It's so interesting. I wonder how do they actually, like, make this kind of... Do they just record a shit ton of like, dialogue? They just, they create everything, and then, like, you get one of...
Oh, no, it's full-on animated. It's not made in-game engine. It's made animation 100% in the Minecraft style. So everything's a block.
Right.
Everything acts the same, the chickens and everything. But it's all just animated. It's like the Lego Movie in the sense that it's supposed to evoke Legos, but I would say Lego Movie is more on the literally looks like Lego side, while this looks like a clean, stylized version of Minecraft.
How does the dialogue work? Is it like playing something like Assassin's Creed where you're just like choosing different conversational responses, or could you get like 90 different alternate endings?
I don't know how many alternate endings there are or possible like results. It plays the same in Telltale games where if you make a decision, it'll say like your game is changing, meaning like this was a turning point, or this character will remember this, meaning
interesting.
they'll either think positively of you in the future or negatively of you in the future. For the most part, most conversations happen outside of your control. You're just a passenger along for the ride. You're watching it unfold till someone goes, man, I don't know. Should we go down the tunnel that's really bright and light and has flowers? Or should we go down the one that might be shorter, but it's dark, it's got dripping oil, and it smells bad? And you as the leader character have to decide which tunnel you go down. Certain characters are leaning towards one or the other, and so you have to pick who you agree with, and each character set will remember your choice, and that'll feed into it later down the road. So in theory, there's a ton of different endings, but as far as how many there are, I don't know. That's probably worth a Google if you want to know for sure.
Right, but I'm just trying to understand. So they had to have made like 20, 30, 40 different games entirely with all these different possibilities, right?
Well, yeah, the dialogue options are insane. The thing is, like, certain results have only, like, not every one of them are, like, world-ending different decisions.
Oh, that's mind-boggling.
So, like, there have been a few times, because Annabelle watched/played this before I did. So now she was watching me play. Okay. And certain decisions I made put my character into a different scenario for a couple minutes, and then it would keep playing. She'd be like, oh, okay. So she said, this is where my decision just took me to immediately. So now you're back to where I was.
Interesting.
You just got this additional 4-minute thing because you made the other decision.
Gotcha. That's interesting.
So there are some, like, quote unquote dead ends to the weird decision maze where it's just like a little additional thing, or you lose out on that additional thing because you made this decision.
Okay.
Not everything results in a clean new ending.
It is very, very interesting. Yeah, I was just imagining all these different alternate endings, but maybe it's more
probably like 10 endings.
The destination is one of 5 or 3 or 10, but there's all these different routes you could go to get there.
If anyone is a fan of the YouTuber Markiplier, random plug here, he does something extremely similar here, and it was an interesting YouTube experiment because he came up with something called a heist with Markiplier, where at the end of each of his videos, you picked to follow one of 2 choice videos. You would click on it and it would take you to that video, and that video was pre-recorded as a result of your decision. And there were 31 possible endings you could get to based on how you mixed and matched your choices at the end of each of his videos. So that was pretty cool too. So if you're into this kind of stuff, definitely check out Minecraft Story Mode, and then also check out Markiplier, Heist with Markiplier. I've not finished it. I've gone through it once. It's funny. He plays it for laughs, but it's also clever. So there's my recommend. And I see you don't have an avoid on your show.
I don't, but you do.
I do. Mine is literally just I don't like it, so I don't recommend watching it. Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun.
I don't even know what this is.
So it's an Australian comedic group, or at least I think some of them are native Australian. And it's just sketch comedy. And the idea is that each episode has little bits that happen. You know, they're not necessarily in sequential order, or even that there is a sequence. There's no, as far as I can tell, there's no plot. Like, there may be some reoccurring themes and whatnot, but for the most part, it's meant to just be chaos in a bottle. And there were a few sketches that made me giggle. There's one that's, I argue to say famous. It was on my Netflix banner for like 1,000 years. And if I didn't have the Netflix banner muted, I would go into Netflix and it would just constantly start with, everything's a drum, everything's a drum, everything's a drum. Did you know this pot is a drum? And it's this whole bit where they pretend like everything is a drum. And that was on the Netflix banner, so I heard that a lot. And it is that song and its chaos and weirdness and the strange turn it takes at one point is funny. But it gets so tiring real quick for the rest of that show to carry the exact same chaos energy. And so I honestly just didn't really like it. It wasn't my bag. So if you're into it, no judgment. Obviously, like what you like. But I just think that this show was way too kind of like throwing eggs at a wall to see what sticks.
I have never heard of the show. I haven't seen any advertisements for it on Netflix, so it's really, really strange that they pushed it to your profile but not mine. So that is.
Yeah, I have no idea where this came from as a result of what I watched. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, thank you for I guess making me aware of it so that I can continue to ignore it.
Yeah, if you ever see it, just walk away.
Nothing about, like, I'm looking at the Google page and some of the images and reading some of the stuff on Wikipedia. None of it seems like it would be in my wheelhouse as something that I'd even be interested in clicking on.
I really was only pulled in by the perversion of what the hell is this skit and why what's the context for it. The answer is there's no context. The show is just weird. So that really is what kind of drove me in the opposite direction, I think, than they wanted as well.
I might watch the trailer for this, because I see there's a YouTube trailer right here. Everything's a Drum is the title of it, and I can see some chaos going on here, but I don't even know if I want to click play on this or not.
Yeah, so I mean, episode 1 for an experiment to see if you like it, but other than that, I don't recommend it.
Nice.
Other than that, that's really all I have to say about it. I don't really have anything else to go any deeper. So we will get to our podcast recommend. This is a little section where we put a promo from a fellow podcaster in the indie community in here that we think is worth highlighting. I think might be worth your time if it sounds like something that you're into to expand your show's library. So we'll see you back here in around 30 seconds, and we'll get into our individual report backs.
You creep through the lush forest, past a bubbling brook. Suddenly, a twig snaps behind you and you draw your sword.
Your neutron pistol shakes in your hand as you step into the abandoned starport. You try to ping the captain, but the comms are dead.
Then you see her. Under the streetlight, a woman smoking a cigarette. Her sly smile reminds you of the witness.
She draws bullets in the dirt, chestnut whinnies, you hightail it, but not before your arm tastes hot lead.
Many Realms is an actual play RPG podcast with short campaigns and a variety of systems. Where to next?
Welcome back. We're going to be getting into our reports now. These are the films we were assigned last podcast episode to watch and report back on in the subsequent episode. Logan will get into yours, but first I want to warn the audience, I was supposed to watch Glass on HBO. I looked up, I went onto the HBO app, I looked up Glass, couldn't find it. I'm not sure if that means it's gone or if it is now in a different European market or something on HBO. I don't know how that works for HBO. I wasn't able to watch it, so Logan assigned me the Pixar Story on Netflix. It's based on, the origins of Pixar. So that's what I watched. But Logan, let's get to yours. You watched 2001: A Space Odyssey. What did you think of this legend of the industry?
Man, yeah, talk about a big movie, because you've thrown 2001 at me and Citizen Kane in like the last 2 months or something like that.
You could say there's a theme occurring.
Yeah, some giants that I've been cutting through. 2001: A Space Odyssey. So this, obviously a difficult movie to talk about, because it's a 2.5 hour movie. There's only like 40 minutes of dialogue in the entire thing, and this is the kind of movie that like makes me want to go seek out a community college that has a nighttime film class, and I want to join it just so I can try to understand what the hell this movie was about.
Yeah.
It is dense, it is complicated, it is a show don't tell kind of movie. I had so much fun listening to podcasts about this movie, looking at YouTube videos, reading articles online, all the different theories that are out there, the different interpretations. I think I just got to be honest and say off the first watch, I found it really, really sleepy. It took me a while to kind of appreciate what was going on or track with what was going on. I knew that something was going on with the monoliths, and I was really interested, and every time the monoliths popped up, the music got really, really creepy, and the score, like, fucking phenomenal score. Like, I don't have to say anything else about the score other than it rules. That was one of the things that I immediately knew, like, okay, all right, that right there was really, really cool. I really liked the score. The visuals were great. The whole story, though, starting off with the monkeys and getting to the monolith and then going to the humans and then getting to that monolith. And then you've got HAL 9000, which I've heard so much about HAL 9000, and I've seen that scene like in so many different YouTube clips, but it still managed to get under my skin. Like, there was something about HAL that really, even though I knew what was coming and knew how it was going to end and everything, like, he still managed to get under my skin. And in the last 20 minutes, I don't even know what the fuck to say, because I don't fully understand what was happening there. That's where I think I need some intellectual hand-holding from someone who knows more than me.
It ain't gonna be me. I'll tell the audience that right now. I've seen this movie 1.5 times, and I don't I don't know.
I read somewhere that Kubrick once explained that scene as these alien life forms that had been calling out, or not calling out, but had set up this line of communication, that they were like observing Dave and that they were like watching him like evolve so they could learn more about him, and in like a human zoo kind of environment, which I thought was completely fascinating. The presence of aliens in this movie is a very, very interesting thought to me, because I never thought 2001 was about aliens. And watching it this first time, I couldn't get the thought out of my head that aliens were behind everything that was going on. So I've kind of been going on for a bit. I want to take a step back. I want to know what you think about this movie.
So I watched it because of a night class I had to take. I was taking I think it was just basically storytelling through cinema was kind of the grand thesis of the class. It was a very sleepy class, so it may have colored my opinion of the film a little bit, because, man, it was like 2.5 hours at night. The 2001 Space Odyssey, I mentioned when I watched the Brad Pitt movie Ad Astra that I still haven't found a space epic that really felt like the space epic that I would choose enthusiastically. That's still the case. Interstellar also didn't hit that edge, and there are a lot of things that Interstellar did that wouldn't have happened without 2001, I think. Especially a lot of the higher brow intellectual attempts that it did. I appreciate that Hal exists, because without Hal, we wouldn't have Gladys from Portal.
Right. Yeah, I forgot they were connected.
I think that Gladys is my all-time favorite.
I'm not connected, but influence.
Yeah. I think she's my favorite evil robot AI of all time, and Hal led to that, so I really appreciate that. But other than that, yeah, I agree with you. This movie's sleepy. The imagery is interesting, and some of the techniques behind how they got certain quote-unquote effects to happen is really cool. Like the scene where like the lights are flashing by and whatnot. There's the colored lights,
like the Doctor Strange hallucination. Yeah, it's kind of scene
that has to do with like cutout holes in paper and like moving physical lights.
Ooh.
And like in camera effects. Like that's not CGI really. Like it's in camera sort of captured in a weird like fucky way. So there's a lot of really interesting tech behind this film, and I think anyone who's interested in old style filmmaking, especially if you've ever been like, did you know that in Star Wars those were models on a black backdrop? If you're any of those, that kind of person, definitely look into 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it has a lot of that type of shit. So I appreciate its position, but yeah, as I said, I've seen it 1.5 times. I couldn't finish it the second time because, as you said, it's only got dialogue for maybe 60% of the film. And so the rest of it's all just like conceptual, in frame, getting information by just absorbing it with your eyes, which that sounds cool, but in practice doesn't always work for me. So I think it's a good film, but it's niche. It's a niche good film.
It definitely is not a populist movie. I don't think that the general American is going to sit down and watch this movie and walk away saying that's one of the best movies of all time. I think that super nerds will say that. I think that, really big cinema nerds will say that. I think that people who, saw this movie when it came out, 50 years ago, I think that they've grown up with this movie. For me, I don't know that this movie will be one of my favorites long term. It has stuck with me. It has haunted me a little bit because it's so unique and it is so almost hypnotic in a way. I was at times super, super bored and at other times really transfixed. And I enjoy movies that make me think. This one I think was more of a challenge than even I was expecting it to be, but I enjoyed watching 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think I'm going to need to see this like once a year for a couple of years before I really start to get a firm grasp on it. Because it's dense. It is a confusing movie. There's a lot to unravel. But I'm glad that I watched it. It wasn't the most exciting experience, but it was very intellectually stimulating.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus, is that it's meant to be an intellectual exercise. Though I think that there's there's a danger in getting to the, Nolan's films can only be understood if you watch them 3 times territory with it. So I think everyone needs to temper their expectations of it. It is, after all, just a movie. But it's decent. So, all right, anything else you want to say about 2001: Space Odyssey before we get to mine?
I don't think so. I don't think for the sake of our podcast, the reason that we recommend movies, I have like 5 hours worth of questions and things I need to process about with this movie. But I don't even know how to rank this. Like, this is such an odd, unique movie. I don't even have a scale to rank this thing on. I will go back to watch it more, but at the moment I can't say that I love the movie, but that's enough about my movie. I want to hear what you thought about the Pixar Story.
So the Pixar Story is hosted on Netflix, which I thought was real weird. I figured that'd be a Disney Plus documentary.
Yeah, you'd think.
But I guess Netflix got a hold of it first. But I think that this is a decent, well-assembled little documentary. It's an hour and a half long. It's not like the deepest thing you've ever seen when it comes to like really diving in, but overall this is about the first years of Pixar Animation Studio. What led up to the Pixar Studio assembling, what kind of money was put in to keep it going, and who was involved in the creation of the studio. That's generally it. And you've got interviews from a lot of the big people. You've got interviews with John Lasseter, Brad Bird, John Musker, Ron Clements, even so far as to having footage of interviews with George Lucas and Steve Jobs, who Steve Jobs was apparently a huge investor in Pixar.
Wow.
Like the investor that made Pixar survive and get to the point where it is today. So we have Steve Jobs to thank for both our phones and our Pixar. And so you've got a lot of content from the brains behind the studio here, which I thought was great. You've got a lot of information. One little tidbit I'll give that blew my mind was that the first, from my understanding of what they said, the first Toy Story film, to render the film front to back, took a computer or multiple computers 24 hours a day for 3 months to render it.
Holy smokes.
And if something went wrong, then the movie couldn't go. So they had to like maintain these computers and keep them on and operating and constantly just like keep them clean, running, everything's running smoothly for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's crazy, but we got Toy Story, and then from then on, we've gotten more and more 3D. They talk about that transition of 2D dying and 3D taking over and the CG, and why it happened and why the reasoning for it is flawed and how 2D shouldn't have been killed, which I agree with. I think 2D animation is weirdly unappreciated. Like, I don't understand why.
Right there with you.
So I'm glad that Pixar has the same sentiment, even though, CG 3D animation has become cheaper and quicker. I think there's a lot of animators out there who would still like to journey into 2D again. Overall, I give it a thumbs up. Pixar has, Rotten Tomatoes has it at 86% from critics, but that's only 7 reviews.
Oh yeah, that's not enough of a base.
The fans have 2,500 plus ratings of an audience score of 92%. So it's definitely an enjoyed piece of content, and I recommend it. If you have any curiosity about Pixar, about the creation of certain titles like Toy Story, they don't go really in depth with like everything they've made, but a lot of the iconic stuff, definitely give this a click. It's not that long, and I think you'll enjoy it.
This is something that I've almost clicked on a few times. That's the reason I was assigned this one to you, because I kind of wanted to know if it was worth my time, and now I know that it is. So I'm gonna watch this at some point over the next couple of weeks. I'm a big Pixar guy. The movie poster is awesome. It's like a blue sketch drawing of Buzz Lightyear flying. That's a pretty cool looking movie poster for a documentary. So I'm definitely gonna check this out. So many big names, and that's exactly what you would want to see in a documentary, is an interview with all of these people. I do have very mixed feelings and some reservations just with John Lasseter and in general after the Me Too movement stuff that's happened, but I'm still interested in the documentary and seeing Steve Jobs in particular. I know he's involved or was involved with Pixar. I don't know to the extent of how he was involved. So I would love to see him get interviewed on Pixar.
And it's also as far as the Me Too, the allegations and the John Lasseter tie-in and such. I don't support any behavior that leads to the need to be Me Too.
Of course.
So just, I know I lumped John Lasseter in with like the legends of the industry. He is, but he's still a person. So, anybody that makes those mistakes needs to be held accountable, no matter their contribution to an art form. Removing the person from the art, though, you can't deny what we got. And so that's why I think that this is a great documentary as well, because it is about a lot of the hard work people put into this. People kill themselves over stuff like animation. Like, people spend the night in studios, like they sacrifice familial relations by just like spending weeks and weeks at their place of work, eating, showering off in the bathroom sink, just working and working. And that's not healthy. That's crunch culture. It's in video games like crazy, and I think it needs to stop. But the people who did go through it in order to give us the products that we've grown up on and love need to be acknowledged and need to be given a little bit of credit for what they did. So I think that's also an important aspect of it as well, even though I think it needs to fucking stop. It's still out there. It super sucks. But I think that those who've gone through it deserve to be spoken of.
Yeah, and Pixar is one of the most elite brands in cinema history. Their hit mark versus their miss mark is just fucking insane. Absolutely,
it's statistically impossible.
Yes, you're completely statistically possible for sure. So I'm definitely going to check this out. You and I now have both seen every single Pixar movie, and I don't think we could have said that a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. So I'm going to check this out. I don't know that I'll bring it up again on Film Rush. It just kind of depends on how much I like it or not, but I'm going to watch this because of you.
Nice. Well, I hope you enjoy it. I think you will enjoy it. I think this has you written all over it, so I hope for the best. So that brings us out of our report section and into our assigning section. This is where we give each other films to watch that we'll do this again on. We'll report back and give you more information on. So Logan, we're going to jump over to you since I was just on my report. What is it that you're giving me to absorb this week?
All right, so you know me. I like my themes. I like my tie-ins. And you assigned me a Kubrick movie this past time, so I'm going to kind of assume you. I'm going to assign you a kind of Kubrick movie, Dr. Sleep.
Nice.
This is the sequel to The Shining. Obviously Kubrick did not direct this movie. This came out, 20, 30 years after he passed, or 20 years or so after he passed.
Which is unfortunate, but yeah, it is based on a novel that's a sequel to the book by Stephen King.
The book, yes. And this movie is, I really liked Dr. Sleep. I've only seen it once in theaters, and I was really just looking for a kind of a unique, fun movie to throw your way. This is not your normal horror movie for me. There are some really interesting elements about Dr. Sleep that really crank up the psychological thriller aspect. Definitely not as good as The Shining. Like, comparing a sequel to its predecessor in this case is pointless. But this is by Mike Flanagan. He did the Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor over on Netflix, and those are top-notch. Well, the first show, is it, and not like the second series he made. But I like Dr. Sleep a lot. Great performance by Ewan McGregor. Rebecca Ferguson is probably my favorite performance in the movie. I think this movie's got a lot of problems, but I will let you discover those for yourself, and we can talk about them next week.
Nice. Yeah, I am excited to watch this. This actually assigns me to 2 movies. So when this movie's like trailers and such started happening, we were in the theater. I can't remember what we were watching when we first saw it, but then when it was revealed that it was a sequel to The Shining, my wife was like, I've never seen The Shining. She's like, is it really scary? Just like in Ready Player One. And I said, well, yeah. I mean, it was a horror movie at the time. It's more like just like tense and uncomfortable than anything. There are some flashy moments here and there, but so she's like, okay, well, that seems like a movie I can handle, because she doesn't do horror very well. I don't really do like big time horror very well either. But I like The Shining. So now we've never watched The Shining to give the context for Dr. Sleep. So we've never watched Dr. Sleep. So now I'll be screening The Shining for my wife, and then we'll be watching Dr. Sleep with that context.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm jealous. That sounds like a fun double feature. The Shining, I don't know how to answer that question. Is The Shining scary? No. Is it unsettling and disturbing? Yes. So it just kind of depends on what she doesn't like. If she doesn't like blood or gore, then she should be okay with this movie, but all the ghosts and the music and the naked lady, like, I don't know how she'll do in those scenes.
Yeah, I think that there are scary elements to it. It's a terrifying film, but not because it'll spook you. It just creeps in and gets under your skin kind of feeling. That's what it's going for, rather than being like, demon, close the door, now it possesses you, ha! Kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that. So it's cool. That is what I'll be doing for the next week. So what you're going to be doing is one that, again, I saw the trailers for it, and I was really curious, and I never ended up watching it. So it's called Bombshell. And this film is about the provocative real story of 3 whip-smart, ambitious, strong women. This is Google's description. I think this is really stupid, but who anchored one of America's most powerful news networks, becoming headlines themselves when they risked everything to stand up to the man who made them famous. So it's like about Megyn Kelly, Kayla Pospisil. Sorry, I've totally butchered your last name. If for some reason you're listening to this podcast. But I watched this and I was like, this looks really interesting. It's right now on Hulu. At least that's what Google told me. So I thought it was on Amazon. We'll have to look into that. But
it might have changed platform since I added it to my list.
But it still seems to be streaming, so it still counts.
Cool.
It's directed by Jay Roach. I don't really know anything that he's made, I don't think. I'm trying to get to his IMDb page. He's made Trumbo. He made the 1997 Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. Take from that what you will.
It looks like he also directed The Spy Who Shagged Me and International Man of Mystery. And Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers.
Interesting.
Dinner for Schmucks.
This man has a...
The Campaign.
Dinner for Schmucks is not a good one for me. That one was rough. So this...
The Campaign's funny.
That director listing is a little strange given the context of this film. But I mean, it's got big actors. It's got Charlize Theron, Nicole Kidman, Margot Robbie, John Lithgow, Malcolm McDowell. It's, so many people. And I was like, this is an interesting concept about a area of media under Fox News that I don't know a whole lot about. IMDb says it's a group of women take on Fox News head Roger Ailes and the toxic atmosphere he presided over at the network. I have zero doubt that network is toxic as shit. But I am curious to know what, the through the Hollywood lens that this would be. And then maybe it'll get me to read more of the real life story. That's kind of what The Big Short and stuff like that did for me. So cool. I may watch this alongside you because I didn't even realize this was streaming and I always wanted to watch it.
So Bombshell, I've actually got a story with Bombshell, but I'm going to save it for next week because I want you to click play on our next episode. I'm really excited to watch this. I have wanted to watch this movie for a long, long time. 2019 is when this came out. So yeah, I wanted to see this when it came out in theaters because these are some badass actresses, man. Charlize Theron, Nicole Kidman, Margot Robbie, man. A lot of characters in here, a lot of actors in here that are huge. I mean, you went through the whole IMDb list. Robert Ailes, not a great person. Speaking of the whole Me Too movement. Although all this was way before the Me Too movement, right? This was like 2016 when this is set, 2015.
Yeah, this is back when really it was all down to trying to use the human resources department to do what they told you they would do, such as represent you when you're harassed. But a lot of the times, human resources don't actually do jack shit for companies like Fox News. So that's a lot of what goes on in stories like this. I don't know the details of what specifically happened to these 3 real life women, but I am curious to know because it's still very much relevant today, both because of the Me Too movement, but because this has been behavior that's been perpetuated for decades and is just, it's just absolutely gross. And I support anything that brings it to light and holds it at least a little accountable.
Yeah, so this movie is obviously about an extremely sensitive and problematic issue. I don't know these stories. Like, I don't know who these people... Like, obviously, I'm familiar with the name Megyn Kelly. I remember-ish that she was, like, big in the news.
Yeah.
The other actresses, like, I don't know who those characters are. I don't really know. I know the name Robert Ailes, and I know the name Megyn Kelly, but everything else about the story is going to be a new experience for me. So I can't, like, directly comment on, like, why Robert Ailes is bad or what he did, because I don't actually know, like, standing here in the moment. It's been such a long time since I looked into this. But Bombshell looks like a really, really solid drama. Jay Roach directing it kind of does give me that Adam McKay going to The Big Short kind of jump. I'm curious to know if this lands or not. I remember this looked like it had Oscar bait written all over it and didn't really do anything, and it kind of got middling reviews. So I'm not sure what to expect with Bombshell, but I'm excited to watch it and report next week.
We've got some interesting titles coming up next week, so if you guys want to be there to hear us report back, consider liking, subscribing, following wherever you're listening to us on. All audio episodes come out on Wednesdays. All video episodes come out on Thursday/Friday. I say that because sometimes things like YouTube and my internet don't like me, and they slow me down, but I always will release when I say I will, because I am a man of my honor, and if you want to know details, such as a video is delayed, or something special is coming out, follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is in the description down below, along with Logan's and his Letterboxd, and our email, and our Facebook page. If you want to follow any of that social media, to keep up to date with us, or to check in every once in a while with us, go ahead and give those a clicky click or a search, and we'll be right there waiting for you. We appreciate your time and listening through this episode with us this week. We look forward to having you around for many to come, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Logan, let's say goodbye.
See you guys next week.